If you stand in a crowded stadium today, the noise is deafening. But trace the roots of international field hockey back far enough, and all that modern chaos funnels down to a single player on a quiet grass pitch, Dhyan Chand. Known as the Wizard, his control of the ball was so absolute that opposing teams occasionally demanded his stick be broken open to check for hidden magnets. He initiated a run of dominance that terrified global competitors for generations. To understand the sheer scale of what he started, look at this data visualization mapping India's historical medal count: 8 Olympic golds, 1 silver, 4 bronzes. They didn't just participate, they owned it completely. But follow the data into the late 20th century and the momentum dies. The timeline stretches out through the 1990s and the 2000s, and the graph completely flatlines. After completely monopolizing Olympic field hockey, the Indian national team failed to win a single medal for exactly 41 years. The central mystery of Indian hockey is how a legacy so massive, so seemingly untouchable, morphed into a 4-decade curse. And more importantly, we need to look at what it finally took to break it. The dynasty opened with a clean hat trick in the pre-war era. The Indian squad marched into Amsterdam in 1928, Los Angeles in 1932, and Berlin in 1936, securing gold medals at every stop. Dhyan Chand's early performances built an aura of absolute invincibility. Opposing nations were often psychologically defeated in the locker room, fully aware they were stepping onto the pitch against a team that seemed to play a different game entirely. That game relied on a relentless, chaotic offensive press. They swarmed the striking circle, burying defenders and goalkeepers under an avalanche of rapid, precise passes. After the Second World War, a new generation inherited that exact momentum. They carried the torch directly into London in 1948 and Helsinki in 1952, maintaining the aggressive physical dominance of the founders. By the 1956 Melbourne Games, they completed the Golden Six, an unbroken streak of 6 consecutive Olympic championships. For 28 years, the top step of the podium was the only reality the team had ever known. This streak transformed the gold medal into a baseline expectation, leaving no room for the team to acknowledge the growing proficiency of their global rivals. The first visible crack in the armor appeared in 1960. In Rome, the team took home silver. The rest of the world had finally studied the Indian playbook long enough to catch up. The squad managed to bounce back for gold in Tokyo in 1964, but the era of absolute certainty was fading. Consecutive bronzes in 1968 and 1972 proved that the gap between India and the rest of the world was closing rapidly. Then the terrain of the sport actually shifted. In the 1970s, Olympic hockey transitioned away from natural grass to synthetic turf. This fast, bouncy surface immediately neutralized the tight, grass-based dribbling style the Indian team had perfected over 50 years. The 1980 gold in Moscow stands as a lonely peak in the middle of this decline. Arriving during a boycotted games, it would be the last time an Indian captain stood on the top step for the rest of the century. Then came the blackout. For the next 4 decades, every squad that suited up faced intense, unforgiving media scrutiny. The public demanded medals, and every missed podium finish compounded the national frustration. By the early 2000s, that historic 8-gold tally had become a suffocating shadow. The players were paralyzed, unable to carry the immense historical weight woven into their jerseys. That shadow remained intact until the delayed 2020 Tokyo Olympics. The modern squad stepped into a pulsing, high-pressure stadium atmosphere, knowing they carried 41 years of failure on their backs. And then they broke through. After trailing Germany, the team rallied to a massive 5-4 victory. They clinched the bronze medal, sparking an explosion of raw emotion on the pitch. While 8 golds represent the peak of the sport's history, this bronze served a specific function. It provided the first tangible proof that the 41-year drought could actually be ended. To prove Tokyo wasn't a fluke, they brought that resurrected momentum straight into the Paris 2024 Olympics. By securing another bronze in Paris, the team achieved back-to-back Olympic medals for the first time in 52 years. This consistency suggests the program has finally adapted to the demands of the modern game. The current roster has moved past the stage of simply honoring the Wizards' history. They are now producing their own data points and podium finishes, independent of the past.